Hello and welcome to the 2017 Oilers TV mock draft presented by Sport Check. Tom Gazzola alongside Bob Stauffer and Jack Michaels from the Oilers Radio Network. We're inside Sport Check's flagship location, guys. We do this every year. It's a good way to get things going in terms of the draft, and this year we have the expansion draft, so the mock draft actually is a three-parter. We're going to go through picks 1 through 6. We'll break it down. And then because the Oilers aren't picking till 22 for the first time since '08, we'll go 22 to 31. And then, of course, we've got the Vegas Golden Knights coming into the NHL this season, and the three of us have done an expansion draft. So you guys ready to do this?
Absolutely, and I'm ready for... I mean, the biggest thing you just said is the fact that the Oilers not only are picking 22nd for the first time since 2008, but they're not picking inside the top 10 for the first time since 2008. So all of those real positives concerning what Edmonton did this season on the ice. And it makes talking about off the ice a little more fun.
Well, absolutely, Jack. And, you take a look at I know we're going to do the draft first, but I think the draft is still connected back to that expansion draft as well, because I think there's going to be multiple picks in play, and I do think there's going to be a play on behalf of the Vegas Golden Knights to try to move up from number 6. So we're going to have a lot to talk about here.
All right.
The first thing we should probably talk about it is how he ends up with the number 1. Speaking of doing things every year, does he not have the top pick every year? Do we have any video proof?
I mean, look, I didn't fall off any chairs for a second straight year. Thank you very much. And it's legitimate. The producers picked out of a hat our names, and I got the first pick.
Yeah.
You always complain about this.
Well, the hat, I don't think the video evidence...
Have we ever actually seen this take place?
Exactly. I mean, I've seen the hat, and I've seen the name removed, but I don't see, our name going into the hat.
Yeah.
All I see is the hat, but for all we know, there could be 10 names in there.
To me, Jack,
they all have Tom on them.
To me, Jack, it's kind of like a vote that takes place in the state of Florida. You're not really sure you can trust it.
And by the way, how are your invites for this video? I mean, have you ever been invited to the actual drawing?
I'm over for it, but that's typical in my case. I don't know about you.
Let's get to it.
All right.
So the draft order is myself, Bob, then Jack, and we'll go up to pick number 6, which of course is Vegas, but like Bob said, there might be a play there. We're just going to go as is, no trades. So I will begin with the New Jersey Devils, who won the draft lottery. A huge, huge day for them, and I'm going to say that the Devils go with Nico Hischier. He's a flashier type player, in my opinion, from what I've seen between him and Nolan Patrick. I like the way he's creative. He's got quick hands in close. He had a very strong season, was good on the world stage at the World Juniors. And, it sounds like he's emerged towards the end of the year. He was able to stay healthy as opposed to Patrick. So I say the Devils go with the flashier guy in Hischier.
All right, well, I've got Nolan Patrick at number 2, and it's my belief that this is a pick that Vegas desperately would like to move up to, given the Kelly McCrimmon connection. He would know Nolan Patrick the best. McCrimmon's the assistant general manager in Las Vegas. Of course, he was the owner, the general manager, the head coach in Brandon with the Vikings as well. Patrick, a year ago at this time, was a slam dunk number 1, in my opinion. And I do think that Vegas is going to collect the wherewithal to make a significant play here. Oh, but let's not forget that Ron Hextall, where did he play his junior hockey? In Brandon as well. Right. So I think either way, if it's Philadelphia or if it doesn't need to turn out to be Las Vegas, I think Nolan Patrick's going to go number 2 in the draft.
How much worry with the injuries when it comes to Patrick?
There's a few in this year's top 20. I mean, and I don't mean a few concerning Nolan Patrick, but there's a few guys on the board that didn't finish their seasons and that suffered significant injuries and missed significant time. But I think that's true every year. Ultimately, you've just got to go with your gut. And Nolan Patrick, it's interesting. Had he been born 4 days earlier, he probably would have gone maybe 3 or 4 in last year's draft.
I think he would have gone 3.
So, okay. I mean...
Think about Columbus took Dubois at 3rd. They wanted the center. Yeah. He's going 3.
And that's why, Hischier closed very well, but I'm not so sure that, if you're in New Jersey, you don't remember, all right, a year ago at this time, there was a consensus number 1. Right. Are we going to let some non-structural injuries get in the way of what we truly
I would take him number 1. I'm guessing you would take him number 1 as well. And you made a pretty interesting pick here at number 3 as well, too.
Yeah, Casey Middlestad. And, it's born out of 2 things. Number 1 is I think Dallas has shown, especially in that market, that they prefer the high-octane offensive type of game. They need a certain blend of charisma and star power on the ice in order to make a go in that market. Bob and I, in the last 7 or 8 years, and Tom, you for that matter as well, we've seen the ebbs and flows of the Stars' attendance. And once they, brought in Tyler Seguin to join Jamie Benn and Dallas started scoring a ton, well, all of a sudden the attendance was there. They were not in contention this year, but they were still scoring a ton of goals, and they still had an audience. There's not many prospects that I think you could say have a chance to be real stars in the league in this year's draft. A lot of solid pros, but maybe not a lot of stars. Casey Middlestat is one who can be a star. He's taken an odd path. Not many would have gone back to high school to try to win a state championship, which he didn't, by the way, lost in the semifinals. But he tore up the USHL. That league is gaining credence. I like Middlestat at 3.
All right, we go to the Colorado Avalanche at 4, and my pick is Gabe Vilardi out of Windsor, of course, Memorial Cup champion. Big, strong guy. I like his hands. He's got good vision. Not only can he finish, he's got a nice ability to find and feather passes to guys. And I liked the way I saw how he had that natural instinct to find the open man. As a bigger body guy, knows how to use his body as well. He's 6'2". There's even some chatter during the Memorial Cup on Twitter amongst some reporters saying, why isn't this guy being considered for the number 1 pick? But at 4, I think Vilardi is a good fit with the Avs, who need all kinds of help right now because we saw what happened with them last season. We keep hearing what's going on with them in their front office, so I think he would be a strong choice for them.
I have him at 3, actually. I like Vilardi that much. Cody Glass for me with Vancouver. This is pretty much, I think this is a slam dunk for the Canucks. They need a center. I don't know if they think that Bo Horvat's going to be a true first-line center. There's a chance Glass can get there. He needs to fill out a bit. The offensive numbers were impressive this year.
And if Glass, doesn't go there, he'll certainly go to the Vegas Golden Knights. And because of the way our mock draft breaks down, I've got to, from a Vegas standpoint, it's a pick that I don't think would suit them. I think, like Bob mentioned, they might try to move up because they're trying to make a splash in the market. It's why I've got them going with a near cap number, a $70 million team, because you're only going to have one chance to make a first impression in Vegas, and they want a high-profile player. But the way you guys have picked, you got to go with Miro Heiskanen. A solid defenseman, certainly a guy you could build a franchise around, not necessarily the guy that's going to, jump out at on the sports pages of Las Vegas. But, in my mind, on a Finnish team that was a little bit down this year, the World Under-18s, he was impressive. He's that solid presence on the blue line. Most people think he's got 12 to 15 years in the league, and when you're building a franchise, again, that's not a bad place to start with a top pairing defenseman.
Okay, so we've gone through the top 6. We're going to rifle through 7 through 21 here. Each guy's just going to list off which guy we had before we get to 22, and we'll break down who we think the Oilers are going to go with and why. So I'm at 7. I'm going to go with the Coyotes. They're going to take Michael Rasmussen.
Well, big guy. A lot of power play points for him this year. I'm at 8 with Cale Makar. Buffalo definitely needs another offensive puck moving D-man. Let's not forget who their head coach is, Phil Housley as well. Might be a bit of a fit there. We're talking 2 years down the road here with him.
Speaking of offense, Detroit's starting to lose some offensive players. Some of their prospects have dried up offensively. So why not go with Owen Tippett? 44 goals in 60 games. For me, it comes down to goals.
All right, next up, Florida. I go with Martin Necas, the Czech player with a lot of high-end talent. I think the Panthers, they might lose a pretty good guy that scored 30 goals for them in the expansion draft, so why not restock the shelves there?
LA's got the 11th pick. It's interesting. Some people thought this pick was in play. They would possibly look to make a deal with Vegas to take on one of those bad contracts. That has not come to fruition. Elias Pettersson there, and on skilled forward.
Nick Suzuki, I have going to Carolina at 12. It seems like the Hurricanes are perpetually challenged to score, and Suzuki again. I'm seduced by the 45 goals he scored last year in Owen Sound.
All right, with Winnipeg, I selected Cal Foote, another big, strong defenseman. They have a lot of big, strong defensemen, so I think he'd fit in nicely there in the peg.
A little bit concerned there, just that high with the footwork for Cal Foote. He's got to work on that a bit. A guy I think was a total wild card here in this draft. The 14th pick, Tampa Bay. I do think Tampa Bay. It's interesting the trade they made to get Sergachev. Timothy Liljegren out of Sweden. This is a player that was top 3 at certain points during the year. He's dropped. I think there's a lot of teams interested to see how far he's going to drop.
I think the Islanders will go with another Finnish sniper in the first round. Laine last year, and this Eli Tolvanen, lit it up in the USHL last year. He's on his way to Boston College. Again, scoring comes to mind with him.
All right, the Flames are up next. I go with the Finn, Juuso Välimäki. Guys, let's rip through these last
Christian Vesalainen would be there at 17 for Toronto. I think the Oilers would have interest in him as well. Very confident young man. Terrible regular season playing against pros in a couple different leagues. Great U18 championship.
Ryan Poehling at 18 for the Bruins. Makes a lot of sense. A solid two-way guy with plenty of size, 6'3".
All right, the Sharks go with Nick Hague here on the 19th pick. Bob?
20th, Kailer Yamamoto, and I think Calgary is going to take him at 16, guys, to be honest with you, but he'd be another guy I think Edmonton considers down the road.
21st, I'll go with Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Again, a guy that I'm not sure will last this far, but he's got plenty of filling out to do, but can really move the puck from the back end.
All right, that does it for part 1 of the 2017 Oilers TV mock draft. Coming up next, the Oilers at 22, and then the rest of the draft.